Skye Squad, we are back in the building, okay? And no, we not technically live, but I felt like this morning we needed that live wake up call. Let me tell y'all something. I don't know about y'all, but that intro gets me crunk every single time. It don't matter what mood I'm in. When that intro start playing, I get to getting it, baby. I get to getting it. But listen. Welcome back to the channel. We are here to recap Belle Collective Season 2, Episode 6. Stalk it to me, baby. Stalk it to me. Why? Because that good Lateshia has accused Glen of stalking her. And is it stalking? I want you guys to let me know in the chatterization. Is having friends and peeps and individuals follow your ex around to ensure her safety, is that following? Also, stalking. Also, is it stalking that he pop up on her, okay, when it's time for her to film? Because she ain't answer his phone call, okay? Y'all let me know down in the chatterization down below. Last night's episode was wild. On a scale of 1 to 10, this was one of those episodes where I did not know what was going to happen. A lot of time, like for right now, I'm not getting any screeners for the show, so I don't see it in advance. I'm watching it last night and I'm like, oh my God. Like when I saw the previews, I did not connect that outside argument because that was in the previews. I didn't connect that to what we actually saw last night. I was like, wow, this whole thing was good. Everything from that to Latrice peeping around cars and corners trying to trying to get a sneak peek at the argumentation going down between Gwen and Lateshia. And let me tell y'all something. Lateshia was activated last night, baby. And I will tell you the truth. An activated Lateshia takes this show up another level, baby. And I was here for every last minute of it. Now, poor Glen, as I told you guys before, Glen is a very likable person when you meet him. When you meet him in person, he is very likable. Although I don't know what he was talking about last night with these goats. We'll get to that when we get to it. But I don't know. Last night gave me everything. It gave me drama, relationship drama. You know, the men had the shade. The women had the shade. Tamra got herself caught up in some sort of little web of miscommunication. Baby, let me tell you something. It was a recipe for a hot mess of a disaster, but it was such good television. And after the week that we have had of toxicity with Beverly Hills, I needed this, okay? So let's get things started. I gave y'all my 10. Y'all tell me what y'all giving it, because let me tell y'all something. Last night, gave. Anyway, so let's start off. We are back at the scene of the Kiki Wyatt video with Tamra and Demond. Actually, the Kiki Wyatt video, I changed my mind. That was Glen and Lateshia in the parking lot. But we're going to get to that in a second, okay? Y'all remember R&B videos in the 90s, okay? It felt like that when Glen pulled up on her. But I'm getting ahead of myself because the scene just took me out, okay? So Tamra and Demond are talking about this, what Lateshia has told her about Tysha having an emotional connection with Demond, okay? Now, in the interview, okay, we get a replay of the producer asking Demond what he had to say about it, okay? And he just says, next question. But last time, we know he said, well, why you laughing? What's funny? What's funny? What's good? But according to Tamra, if you guys watched this interview yesterday, you will know that Tamra said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that it was because the producer that was asking him these questions never bothered to speak to him when they were on set, like would pass him, not speak, not say hello. And y'all know, if you from the South, let me tell y'all something. It's always a culture shock when you run into people, like moving to DC, when just being from the South. I was like, oh, people don't speak around here. Okay, I understand. It took me a couple of weeks to learn, but I finally got it. I was like, these unfriendly mofos. But anyway, I just have come to learn that that's just not a thing up here. You know what I'm saying? But it is a thing down south. So I understand why he was feeling some type of way about this producer, if that's the case. Okay. Now, he denies any wrongdoing with Tayshia. He says they've been friends, and he at least thought they were friends. And the question is whether Tayshia has a crush on Damon, and nobody knew about it. Okay, and Tambra feels crazy for even having to address it, and she feels like Tayshia is irrelevant to her. Now, let me know in the chat. Do you guys feel like Tayshia might just have some sort of emotional crush on Damon? Do you think that he might have said or did something that may have led her to believe something? Because the way she was telling the story to Lateshia was as though they had some type of intimate situation, or at least that's what the audience was left to think. Okay. Anyway, Marie is meeting Lateshia and Latrice for brunch, which is brand new. But ever since they, Ponderosa at Marie's rebirth party, they seem to be on a good foot. And Marie is going into the scene just like, yes, boo. She's walking up to that storefront. And Carlos King and Kingdom Reign, y'all know how to give folk an entrance. Okay. I like that. They used to do that a lot on Love and Hip Hop, which made it feel like a music video, so to speak. But when you give a bad mama jamma a good old glamour shot and a walk up to a spot, I mean, ain't nothing better than that to me. You know what I'm saying? I love those types of shots. Give us more of those, please. Yes, I likes the glamour of it all, and it's Southern glam, so that's a different level of glam. It hit different, okay? So anyway. So we can't even get into the scene because Lateshia is outside arguing with Glenn about him following her. Apparently, according to Glenn, she won't answer his calls. And so Glenn claims he was just trying to protect her because Jackson is dangerous. So what he is saying is he's having the people follow her because Jackson is a dangerous place. In the chatterization, let me know how dangerous Jackson is. Let me know. And side note, right now they are currently experiencing a water crisis. So I'm gonna try to reach back out to Tambra because she is doing a lot of work in this area to find out how we can potentially either donate, give some water, or get some water to them, because our people are in need, and where our people are in need, we show up. Okay. So more on that in the next couple of days. All right. Anyway, so he still expects her to answer his calls whenever he rings her phone, even though they are not together. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, now listen, okay, player. She ain't got to answer your calls no more. She ain't got that. She don't have to do Nathan. Okay. And if you really need her and it's about the kid, if it's about Josh, text her. Okay. Text her what the issue is, because you blowing up her phone. Okay. And that just tells her you just want her attention. You just need something from her. You just expect her to answer the phone. And what you need to do is, let me give you the clue, Glenn. Okay. This is what you do when you can't find her. Okay. Text her. Okay. Hey, I am worried about you. You are not picking up the phone. Please just let me know you are okay. That's the proper thing to do in that situation, in my opinion. But what you do not do is roll up on her. Now, in real life, I would be like, now, that's cause for some concern. But on TV, I loved it. Okay. It was good. This is, to me, the Kiki Wyatt video I've been talking about all these times. Okay. So anyway, she goes off. He ends up running in his car. He gets to his car like, you better answer the phone next time I call you. Whips that car around, almost knocks production over, and storms out of the parking lot. I ain't lying. Production crew almost got ran over, baby. The production was in the shop, baby. Production was in the shop. So Latrice, is like this. Peeping around the corner, trying to find out. Lateshia collects herself, runs inside, and they recap the situation. And he's thinking that she has somebody on the side, because he says that she's moving differently. She is moving differently. She's moving like a single woman moving on with her life. That's how she's moving. She ain't moving like the married woman that, I mean, they still married, I believe, but they ain't together. Okay. So anyway, this is something I will say, and Glenn, you know how I feel, bro. To me, you the man. You might not be her man right now, but you would in real life, you would he means well, okay? He does some effed up stuff, but he means well, okay? That I can tell you. But what I will say also is about this situation is that cheaters will oftentimes be the very ones who will be thinking that you are cheating because you not answering the phone to them. Their mind is automatically going to go into what they be doing when they don't answer the phone for you. Okay. So to me, it's just projection. Anyway, we learned that Josh is having a birthday party. Apparently, it's later on that day. So that ain't a good idea. But anyway, they get to talking. And Latrice mentions that, while her and Marie have had beef, she can respect Marie because Marie stands in her how she feels. And she don't do it behind her back. She feels like, Marie don't like her to her face when she don't like her. But what she can't respect is Aikisha apparently calling the rest of them ugly. And Latrice is like, I know she won't talking about me. Okay. She couldn't have been talking about me. And apparently, according to what I'm seeing on the screen, it is Tambra that told the ladies that Aikisha called them ugly. But allegedly, Tambra also told Lateshia and Marie, or at least Lateshia, that Aikisha can be shady and to watch her for what she says. Okay. Now, later on, Aikisha will call herself not shady, but I would say that Aikisha is shady, but it is in the best type of reality style way. Okay. So anyway, they wonder about Tambra's motives for telling them that Aikisha is shady. And then Lateshia tells them about Tysha telling her about an emotional connection with Damon. And she says that she felt like Tambra was defensive. And but Tambra wants to have a girls' outing, a sister style venture, and they are all ready for it because they're ready to get down to the bottom of some things. Finally, we get a So Gucci scene. Okay. Where have been the? Are y'all hiding the So Gucci scenes in a vault? Okay, because we finally get a bit more of what is going on with her family for the first time in 6 episodes. Okay, we see that she's got 2 kids from a previous relationship, and JJ has 3 kids. Now, my suspicion is that based on the preview for next week, is there's some issues with them blending their families. She's thinking about expanding her real estate business and wants to help Latrice find another building because Latrice is looking for a new location. Okay. She reclaps Glenn allegedly having a sneaky link and possibly another child. More, I'm sure we'll get more on the other child alleged, okay, in an episode or 2. JJ just wants to know Glenn's side, so the guys are going to have a fishing trip to get down to the bottom of it because he wants to know what the man has to say. He tired of hearing about things from the women. Now, it's the day of Josh's birthday party, and I should call this the Joshua's petty party, okay? It won't petty on Josh's behalf, but it was definitely petty on Lateshia and Glenn's, all right? Lateshia is stressed. Apparently, the cake was in the car with Glenn when Glenn pulled a Fast and Furious and stormed out of the parking lot. This cake slid and messed up the name on the cake. You can literally feel the tension in the air between the two of them, even in their confessional. So Latrice and Marie arrive at the event, followed by Glenn and Joshua, and it's party time. Okay, Latrice is just glad that Glenn is not upset with her anymore because I think it might have been Latrice that told her something about, the rumors about the outside baby, if I remember the reunion from last season correctly. So I think that might be why Glenn may have been giving Latrice the side eye. But Latrice is like, basically, that's my friend. So I'm going to look out for my friend. And, sir, if you're doing something wrong, you just got to own it. Okay. So Glenn and Lateshia are making passive-aggressive comments, the entire time as Latrice is trying to change the subject. Meanwhile, it's a whole kids' party going on, And Lateshia just wants Glen to go stand by the cake while she gets other things done. And he's like, I'm not standing by the cake. So the kids, I think, head off into another area where it's like a little jungle gym play type slide area or whatever. And then they have this little silent confrontation. So Glen walks off to talk to Cliff because he feels like he needs a man's perspective. And he reveals that to Cliff that he had people following her because Jackson is so dangerous that she shan't be walking the streets of Jackson by her lonesome ever. So he got the is it an undercover detective? Who is it? Is it cousin Pookie that's following her? Did she know somebody was following her? Were they following in a black minivan or a white kidnapping van? What were they? I want to know how they was following her, because when I watched the FBI, when I watched the Law and Order and things like that, you got to follow a couple of cars behind, right? So is it a black SUV? Lateshia, did you notice anybody following you from in the background? You know what I'm saying? Because usually to me they be obvious because they take every turn you take. Lateshia, you might want to start taking alternate routes home. You know what I'm saying? Take all these circuitous routes to see if people following you. Baby, let me tell you something. When Glen said that, I was like, now either he is actually ultra protective or he is like going off the deep end. I don't know. Glen, you know how I feel about you, bro. But the following is it's a whole nother level. Okay. It is a whole other level. The fact of the matter is, you don't have the right to have anybody follow her at this point, because if anybody should have been having somebody followed, she should have been having you followed, to be quite honest with you. But we're not going to talk about that today, okay? Anyway, they, as Glen is talking to Cliff, he starts talking about eagles and goats. Cliff is lost. Cliff being Latrice's husband. Cliff is lost. I'm lost. Production is lost. The only person that know what he talking about is Glen. Okay. And then Lateshia walks up asking, "What y'all talking about? You over here telling Cliff lies?" She is not here for Glen or anybody in this episode. Okay. She blames his ego for all of this and warns him to get it together. He starts to feel disrespected, and then I don't know if he's about to roll up on her or something like that, or she was about to roll up on. I gotta go back and rewatch the scene, because I'll be making my notes at the same time. And baby, I was I was secretary last night. Okay, I was Secretary of State for Jackson. I was Secretary of State for Mississippi last night, typing them notes. So I got to go back and watch it, because it looked like he was about to walk up closer to her. And in those types of situations, things can get real heated real fast. So luckily, Cliff, aka Zaddy, aka Latrice's husband, had to basically step in betwixt the two of them so that it wouldn't go left. I think Latrice is grabbing a hold to Lateshia to try to move her out the way. And all the while, the kids are over there watching all this go down. And Marie tell them, y'all got to calm down for the kids' sake, okay? And get it together for Josh. Now, Lateshia and Latrice have a sidebar conversation, and Lateshia breaks down because she's trying to grow, and she cannot grow if she is constantly finding herself in situations with this man. Meanwhile, Marie is getting ready to meet with Aikisha and their kids. Okay, well, one of Marie's son's babies or something like that, I think, and Marie is not going to address, she says it in her confessional, she's not going to address what Tambra told her that Aikisha allegedly said about calling them ugly, okay? But she just wants to get to know Aikisha for herself. And they recap what happens with with Marie and her family. Aikisha gets emotional. They talk about Marie's lupus and how she wants to give up sometimes. And Aikisha and both Marie are interested in getting to know each other better. And this was actually a really pleasant scene. And I think we've seen some kind of harder sides of Aikisha, but I felt like this scene, especially for the two of them, it really showed softer sides to both of them that we needed to see. Because what I like about these shows, specifically this one, is they do a really good balance. Production and Carlos and On, they do a good job of balancing some of the harder aspects of the women. And what I mean by that is like, the rough and tough of it all. But they also balance it out by showing very nurturing sides to them and sides that we can all sort of relate to and feel warm and fuzzy about, intermingled with a lot of drama. Okay. Speaking of drama, the men go fishing. Okay, and they get right into Glen's issue. JJ want to get down to the bottom of Glen's side of the whole situations and rumors of the baby. Okay, and Willie, who is Aikisha's husband, is like, man, did you have an affair? Because he's from the Bronx and he ain't got time for all this Southern hospitality. Let's go ahead and get right down to it. Okay, and so the question is, does the child look like Glen? Okay, now apparently the child has the child that was had allegedly on the side that Glen does not know is if it's his or not. Okay. Has a nose like Glen's. Glen says that everybody black got a big nose, and then he go around and read all their noses. Okay. And so Cliff in his confessional is like, why don't he just get a DNA test? That would solve this issue and everybody would know and they would be done with it. Okay. Willie can't even understand what they're saying because they talk so country, and Willie is from the Bronx or from Brooklyn, whatever. And I know they're two separate places. Do not drag me in the comments. He is from New York. Okay, let me just say that. I could have swore he said the Bronx. It could have been Brooklyn. Don't get me mistaken if I'm wrong, because I know that people, when you talk about Bronx and Brooklyn, it be sometimes like talking about DC and Baltimore. People will like go off on you if you get it mistaken. So listen, charge that to my mind and not my heart. All right. Meanwhile, apparently JJ lets it slip that Cliff was sleeping with JJ's ex at some point in time. So they got a whole history rigmarole or whatever. I need to get back in on that. But Willie is just trying to figure out, listen, how y'all feel about Mississippi? Because my wife trying to trap me here, okay? And I need to know what else is going on here besides infidelity. And I was like, oh, Mr. Willie is just as shady as Miss Aikisha, okay? And I was here for Willie, okay? Then it's time to fish. It's the day of the Sistervention 2.0. Time to clear the air. Tambra toast to the good life. Everybody is there except for Marie, who is having a lupus flare up, who will allegedly be on the FaceTime with the girls. Okay. So Aikisha starts it off and she says she wasn't sure if she was going to be invited today since she wasn't invited to Marie's party. I don't know why she didn't address that with Marie, but I'll get to that in a second. That was what my first thought was. Latrice is not understanding, okay, why Tambra is causing all of this controversy because Tambra says, I don't like the he said, she said. But in Latrice's eyes, it was Tambra that caused all this because she the one who came back and told them that Lateshia called them that Aikisha called them ugly and said that Aikisha was shady and they need to watch what she be saying around them. So Lateshia says that she heard from Tambra that Aikisha was shady and that she needs to be careful of what she says. It sounds like it was some controversy with the semantics of all this. Apparently, Aikisha was told by someone named Josh that they were all talking about her at Marie's. So apparently, this Josh person was at Marie's, rebirth party, heard them all talking about Aikisha, then came back and told Aikisha that Lateshia had a lot to say about her. Okay. Aikisha feels like this is all Aikisha at this point. She feels like Lateshia had it out for her from the get-go if she heard from Tambra that Aikisha was shady, okay? And again, Lateshia ends up having to tell Tambra, girl, hold on for a second, because you seem to be at the center of all this. So let me take care of Aikisha, then we'll talk to you. So Lateshia apparently heard shady stuff about Aikisha before the brunch, which makes Aikisha feel like that's why she was so disrespected at the brunch. And that's maybe why she, got a dirty plate or whatever. For Lateshia, she feels like, well, since you came into the brunch shady, maybe you threw some dirt on the plate. So before we can even really, nothing gets resolved at this point in the brunch. But Lateshia lets her know, girl, I invited you to have a seat at this table. And Aikisha tells her, well, if you inviting me for a seat at the table, at least keep those dishes clean.